4, 3, 2, 1.
Studio Classroom is Studio Classroom is on the air.
Welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. You know, you're just in time for the first lesson of February 2021. Woohoo! My name is Gabe.
And I'm Anne-Marie. Earlier, I was checking my IG account.
Wait a minute, your what?
My IG account.
Your IG account?
No, Gabe, haven't you ever heard of someone refer to Instagram as IG before?
Oh, Instagram, of course. Yeah, everyone calls Facebook FB. You know, I've seen some people just write YT when talking about YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. It's common to abbreviate some of these names. Oh, you know what I don't get though?
What?
APP. The word app is quicker to say than APP.
You're right about that, Anne-Marie. Hey, what am I referring to if I say SC?
Snapchat.
No, Studio Classroom. Duh.
Of course. Well, anyway, back to IG. Our lesson today is called IG versus reality. Actually, it's called Instagram versus reality.
But IG versus reality really does sound better. Friends, today is a great day to learn something new.
So let's do that together.
So can I shorten your name to AM?
Oh, you do that sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
That's fine.
Instagram versus reality. Do we have to choose between social media and self-worth? Are you one of the 3.6 billion people on Earth who use social media? One app, Instagram, has over 500 million daily users and 1 billion users each month. This makes it one of the most popular social media platforms in the world. We average over 2 hours every day on social media. But does following friends, companies, and influencers make our lives better or worse? Does sharing pictures and getting likes have a positive or negative effect on us? Phoebe and Joanna are friends, but they don't feel the same way about social media.
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 今天我们要看的第一个字是 billion。billion 就是10亿。譬如说 The company made over $2 billion last year. 公司去年赚进超过20亿。billion 也可以用来指很多的意思，例如 I've told you a billion times not to do this. 我已经跟你讲过好多次不要这样做。或是Henry has driven by the store billions of times, but he has never once entered it. Henry 开车经过这家店不知道有多少次了，但是他从来都没有进去过。接下来我们要看的字是 average。average 就是平均或是平均数。例如 I don't need to see all the numbers, just give me the average. 我不用看到所有的数字，给我平均数就好。Average 也可以当作形容词来指平均的，譬如说 The factory workers are rather young. The average age is 18. 工厂的工人都很年轻，他们的平均年龄是18岁。不过在文章里 average 是一个动词，意思是平均为。例如 Business was good last week and the sales team averaged 10 customers per day. 业务团队上礼拜的生意非常好，每天平均可以收到10位客户的订单。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack. Friends, let's get right into it. Of course, the lesson is called Instagram versus reality, or IG versus reality. And here is the question: do we have to choose between social media and self-worth? We're going to flesh out this question through a conversation in our lesson, but self-worth is one of the key themes in this lesson. So let's talk about it. Self-worth, this is the value that you give to your life and to your achievements.
You know, some people believe that self-worth comes from what they own or the things that they accomplish. Where do you think self-worth comes from, Gabe?
Yeah, that's a good question because a lot of people get their sense of value from what they do at work or something like that, or how much they're contributing to society. I believe that our basic, what we would say, intrinsic value, what we're given from birth, is given by God. And so sometimes I'll have a low self-esteem, maybe I won't have self-confidence, but that basic self-worth is always there, even before I did anything.
Yeah, that's so true. The Bible says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we're made in the image of God. So to me, that really tells me what my self-worth is.
Yeah, and it's a great reminder because, of course, life has its ups and a lot of downs too, right? So we're not always going to feel self-confident. Maybe we'll have lower self-esteem, but your self-worth is always there. Now we continue here. Are you one of the 3.6 billion people on Earth who use social media?
One app, Instagram, has over 500 million daily users and 1 billion users each month. That's a lot of people, actually.
That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, that makes it one of the most popular social media platforms in the world.
And, you just saw the phrase on Earth in the first sentence, so 3.6 billion people on Earth, and at the end of that last sentence, in the world. Actually, you could use those two phrases in the same way. You could say, are you one of the 3.6 billion people in the world who use social media, or the most popular social media platforms on Earth?
That's right. Let's continue reading here, friends. We average over 2 hours every day on social media. But does following friends, companies, and influencers make our lives better or worse? What do you think, friends?
Yeah, well, before we get into that, let's talk about a couple of things in this sentence. The first one is the use of the word follow, okay? Does following friends and influencers make our lives better or worse? When you follow someone on a social media platform like Facebook or especially Instagram, this means that you can see your friends' posts and send direct messages to them if you would like when you're following somebody. Do you follow anybody on Instagram, Anne-Marie?
I do. I actually do follow some influencers, which we're going to talk about that word in a minute. But I do want to add here, friends, that sometimes I hear people say, add me on Instagram. Now, actually, that verb isn't right. When you add people, you add them on Facebook or Line, but on Instagram, we use the word follow. You can ask somebody, do you follow me on Instagram?
Okay, and so you could be a follower. You're following other people. And sometimes people will talk about the word following as a noun. You have a following. That is how many people follow you. But let's take a look at that word influencer because there are a couple of definitions. It could be someone who affects or changes the way other people behave in general. But specifically, this could also be a person who is paid by a company to get people to buy their stuff using things like social media.
Usually they're sharing photos of their lives or of their kids, or maybe they have a specific niche that they're into, and people follow them because they're interested in what they're doing. And companies use that as a way to get people interested in their products.
Well, our lesson title is, of course, Instagram versus reality. Have you ever heard of a reality check, Anne-Marie?
I have.
Well, I think we need to learn more about this phrase in today's Info Cloud.
Hello friends, welcome to InfoCloud. Recently, I have been teaching people how to sing. I have to say that the most challenging thing is getting people to practice every day.
Well, I have tried playing the piano before. I know how hard it is to overcome laziness to practice. How do you do that with your students?
I give them a reality check. by asking them in detail how much time they spend practicing each day. That's when they realize they are not practicing enough, if at all.
Wow, that sounds like a common problem with singers.
It is. My voice teacher told me singers are lazy, and sometimes they don't know it. So it is my job to bring them back to reality.
Okay, well, let's talk about these two expressions you just used. Reality check and bring someone back to reality.
A reality check is something that forces someone to face what is really happening in reality. For example, the failed project is a reality check that the company has some internal problems to solve.
On the other hand, when you bring someone back to reality, you are almost waking them up from any illusions they might have so they can face the facts.
For example, I wanted to buy a new computer, but my empty bank account brought me back to reality.
So, reality check and bring someone back to reality basically have the same meaning. They are both used to let people face the reality of what's really happening.
有的时候，过度乐观或是悲观都不是很好的事情。今天要跟大家分享2个有关面对现实的流行用语。第一个是 reality check。reality 是现实 ，check 有检查或检验的含义。reality check 就是现实的检验。这通常是指一些让我们面对现实的事件，例如 The failed project is a reality check for the company. 这个失败的企划案迫使公司必须面对现状，有可能是因为长期以来大家都不愿意去面对现实，现在发生这些事情可以让大家正视一些问题。另外 Bring someone back to reality 几乎是一样的意思，只不过是动词。My empty bank account brought me back to reality. 我那个已经没钱的银行账户把我打回现实。有可能是本来想买一些东西，可是想到没钱就打消主意了。这就是今天的 Info Cloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to SCOTA. We are learning all about...
Oh, wait. SCOTA?
Yes, AM. Earlier, we were talking about things that have abbreviations. Well, SCOTA is SCOTA, Studio Classroom on the Air.
Oh, but Gabe, I think you're a little CRAZY. Anyway, friends, our lesson is called Instagram versus reality.
So we're talking about IG. Let's see if FB comes up in this next section.
Instagram versus reality.
Hey, did you see the article Lydia posted on Facebook this morning?
You mean the one about Instagram being bad for us?
Yeah, it talks about the psychological effects of comparing ourselves with pictures of artificial beauty. It also says people's real lives aren't as wonderful as they seem on Instagram.
I don't see what the big deal is. I love using Instagram.
I use it too, but I'm becoming worried. Don't you think that what people share is kind of fake?
Just because people use filters on their selfies doesn't mean they're fake. What's wrong with making a few small improvements?
好，我们再来看下一个字 psychological。psychological 是一个形容词，在文章里的意思是指跟心理学有关的，或是跟心理方面的。譬如说 The school counselor cares about the psychological wellness of her students. 校园辅导员很关心学生们的心理健康。 Psychological 也可以指心理作用，例如 Irma says the job is too hard for her, but I think it's all psychological. Irma 说那工作对她来说太难了，但是我认为那只是她心理作用。还有很多人喜欢看心理惊悚片或是心理悬疑片，我们也同样可以用 psychological 来形容这种电影。譬如说 This psychological thriller proves that a story doesn't need ghosts in order to be scary. 这部心理学影片证明一个故事呢没有鬼出现，也同样可以让人感到害怕。最后我们要看的字是形容词 fake。fake 的意思是假的。譬如说 In the movie, a spy used a fake passport to travel through several countries. 在影片里，情报员用假护照到几个不同国家去。Fake 也有虚伪的意思，例如 Cassandra might appear friendly, but don't be fooled by her fake smile. Cassandra 也许看起来非常友善，但别被她虚伪的微笑给骗了。Fake 也可以拿来当作名词，来指东西或人是假的或是冒充的。我们来看例句。Roberta is so mad because she had spent $1,000 on a fake purse. Roberta 很生气，因为她花了1000块购买一个冒牌的皮包。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack. Friends, we want to go to Phoebe's second line right away. Do you see it here? She says, yeah, it talks about the psychological effects of something. We want to talk about that phrase, an article talking about something, because Anne-Marie, articles don't talk, do they?
Well, they don't talk, but it means that the article discusses something, or it goes into something, or even it references something.
That's right, or we could use the word address, right? There are many different words, many different verbs or verb phrases that we could use when talking about a piece of writing that mentions or discusses something.
It's basically just saying that that is what the article contains.
Exactly. So friends, think of other ways to talk about an article or some other piece of writing that you've read, maybe a blog post or something. You could use the phrase, it talks about something. You could also use the phrase, oh, the blog post goes into many political situations.
Let's keep reading here, friends. Our article says, it also says people's real lives aren't as wonderful as they seem on Instagram. Now, we have a phrase there that's kind of interesting, don't we?
That's right. It's kind of a useful sentence pattern or structure. As adjective as something seems, right? You use this kind of sentence pattern to say that something may seem a certain way. Something may seem wonderful, for example. Sometimes it's as wonderful as it seems. Sometimes it's not. It only seems that way.
It kind of has the idea that you think something's a certain way, but in the end, it's not.
Exactly. Well, we need to continue on here. Phoebe has a line later. She says, I use it too, but I'm becoming worried. Don't you think that what people share is kind of fake? And that's kind of a fun question pattern for you to know. Don't you think something? You use this when you think that somebody else should think or feel the same way that you do about something.
That's right. When people use this phrase, it's usually to show that they think the person they're talking to should already know the information they're discussing. For example, don't you think you'd be on time for class if you left a little bit earlier in the morning?
And the answer, of course, she thinks should be yes.
Yes.
Well, later we do learn about filters and how they can kind of improve your photos in some way or another. And tomorrow we're going to learn about something called beauty mode. But right now it's time for us to go to All About and learn about reunion dinners.
Ling invited me to her family's New Year's Eve reunion dinner next week.
That's great.
She said her mom will cook a feast. I wonder what dishes will be served.
There are a few common dishes most families eat on New Year's Eve. Usually we eat fish because the Chinese word for fish sounds like the word for surplus. We also eat sticky rice cake as it sounds like the phrase each year higher.
That's interesting. In English, words that sound alike but have different meanings are called homonyms.
Many of our New Year's Eve dishes sound like something we hope to have in the coming year. We eat other dishes because their appearance looks like something we hope to have.
What are some examples?
We eat dumplings because their shape looks like gold ingots, which represents wealth. Oranges are also eaten because their color is similar to gold.
Thanks for a great culture lesson. Now I'm really hungry. Let's grab some lunch.
Appearance. Appearance. Gold ingot. Gold ingot.
Reunion dinner. Reunion dinner. Feast. Feast. Homonym. Homonym.
Well, that was fun. You just learned about homonyms and homophones last month. Okay, so let's take a look at one of those talk about it questions. Do you worry about how social media influences your feelings or relationships? Why or why not? Do you worry about this, Jack?
多少会有一点顾虑，因为跟人的互动好像变得比较 shallow， 比较肤浅，然后没办法像我们这样面对面谈得比较深啊。那另外一方面呢，是社群媒体上可以很大肆的宣扬或是表达你自己的想法、批评或是意见。那常常去看这些东西呢，的确是会影响我的情绪。
Yeah, and sometimes when you look at the things the comments people leave, sometimes people can leave kind of mean comments because we're not there in person or face to face. There's a kind of respect that people have for each other when we're face to face, but we kind of lose that respect sometimes when we're anonymous on social media. Well,
true.
What do you think about this, Anne-Marie?
Well, I guess I would say that for me, social media has been helpful because I live on the other side of the world than a lot of my friends. So I think that my relationships have improved because of social media. Now, I think if someone is very prone to comparing themselves to others, then social media can definitely be a dangerous thing for them.
Yeah, for sure. So you found it a very helpful thing to be able to get in touch with people overseas, but this means you have to be intentional about that too, right?
For sure. Because there's definitely if you let it go too long, you kind of forget about relationships or you just forget to respond to people. So even with social media being so convenient, you still have to be very intentional about your relationships, for sure. Well, what do you think about this question, Gabe? Can comparing yourself to other people ever be a good thing?
Oh, now that's a good question. Can comparing yourself to other people? Well, there is such a thing as healthy competition in real life. So even before Facebook and other forms of social media, I mean, that's a great thing in life. That's why businesses can boom and do really well because they kind of compete with each other, right? So I think that can happen on social media as well. But I think with social media, it seems like there's a lot more just comparing to other people's what we perceive their experiences to be. So it might not even be their real experiences or everything about their experiences. We don't know their downs most of the time. We just see the awesome stuff that they post on Facebook.
Well, that's true. People usually post the best part of their lives on social media. When someone has a bad day, they're not necessarily going to say, I'm having a bad day or my face looks bad today or something about it, right? They're posting the best part.
Well, friends, 你是否曾经担忧社群媒体会不会对你的感受或是人际关系带来影响呢？ We have more to learn with this lesson next time. So join us then right here on Studio Classroom.
A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.